Welcome to the flagship studio here at the JP Morgan Health Conference 2024. I'm Christine Heenan, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Jae-Woo Kim, the Executive Vice President of Samsung C&T, and Stephen Berenson, Flagship's Managing Partner. We're here to announce an exciting collaboration between Samsung and Flagship that we are announcing today alongside an MOU that will bring our companies closer together and give both a ringside seat on the innovation so critical to what we are trying to do at Flagship and what Samsung is hoping to accomplish as they increasingly invest in the life sciences space. So let me start with you, Jae-Woo. Tell us a bit about how Samsung is thinking about its ambitions in the life sciences and how this collaboration will further those aims.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all. I think Samsung and the Flagship Pioneering have shared the common vision to transforming the conventional drug discovery and the development to more innovative way that is really pushing the boundary of what is possible in current biopharma industry. I'm really thrilled that we are announcing the collaboration. This is a really new evolution of the existing the relationship between the Samsung and Flagship.
And Stephen, you are an architect of this new collaboration with Samsung. Tell me how Flagship decided to focus on technologies in translational science and medicine and what Flagship hopes to get out of this new relationship or newly deepened relationship.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christine. And Jae-Woo, thank you very much for taking the time to come over here and be part of this announcement. So I followed Samsung for a long time. I worked with Samsung for many years in my prior career. Samsung is a company of incredible capability and character. And we've observed Samsung build its life science business. We've had a number of conversations over the past couple of years about what their intentions and ambitions are. And they bring extraordinary capabilities in process development, translational science, clinical trial capability, manufacturing. I could go on for a long. Samsung can represent a perfect partner for Flagship as we try to translate our science into clinical success and then commercial success.
Could you talk a bit about those capabilities and what's unique at Samsung and also where you're investing, especially in an area where artificial intelligence is changing so much of what's happening in drug discovery?
Certainly. I think our collaboration really blends the both companies' capabilities in the deep understanding of life science and as you mentioned, absolutely the CDMO services that we are doing with the Samsung Biologics and many clinical samples with the well annotation, which is done by the Samsung Medical Center in Seoul, and also the many clinical study infrastructure that is done by the Samsung BioApis. So we really wanted to bring all this capability to help the acceleration effect of the future innovation that the Flagship and its ecosystem company will bring to the market.
You mentioned the ecosystem of companies, which of course is one unique aspect of a partnership with Flagship in terms of all of the bioplatforms that one has access to. Stephen, as you were putting this deal together, how did you think about the interplay between our companies and this newly enabled access to what Samsung brings to the table?
Christine, it's a terrific question. As we know, one of the distinguishing characteristics of Flagship is we're the founder and principal owner of all our companies, right? And we work so closely with our companies in such an aligned way that we can architect in a way that nobody else in the industry can, cross-company collaborations. We're already doing this in certain places right now. And Samsung is going to bring to us a whole new set of capabilities that can work across our companies and enable companies to work together in ways that otherwise would not necessarily have been possible.
And you mentioned the infrastructure in Seoul and Samsung Medical Center. How do you envision our interactions around your clinical trial samples and, as you say, the CDMO capabilities, which are really unique in the industry?
Right. So Samsung Biologics is very famous to, making the accelerations of the speed of the many Korean and other countries, the biotechs during the development process. And also the Samsung Medical Center, already mentioned, they have the many clinical samples with the very well annotations, which can help speed up the new drug development, and also the even help bring the better specificity and the sensitivity of the biomarker algorithm. Once you can find the right target patient group, then Samsung also can help the recruiting the patients as new drug development proceeds, and all those the biomarker algorithm really wanted to find their target the patients. Seoul is now becoming the city that is recruiting. I mean, you can actually recruit the patients out from the because the Seoul is the big city, and it actually brings all patients throughout their countries. So Seoul is the most patient recruited city in the world for the last 2 years.
It's really interesting. Stephen, let you have the last word. We do a lot of future back planning at Flagship, and as you think about the future you envision that will have been enabled by the announcement we're discussing today, tell us what you envision and how we'll get there.
There's so many interesting facets to that story. So, Christine, as you know, one of the things that we pioneer are the use of new modalities to treat disease. By their nature, these things are much harder to manufacture than small molecules or antibodies. They require deep process development and then highly skilled manufacturing. And we think Samsung can be a perfect partner there. The other thing we've done is we set up this relationship in a way where Samsung, if it finds a business that it is interested in many ways, to become a capital partner of ours, to put major capital to work. And I think that's another obvious alternative for us. And then I want to come back to what Jae-Woo said about the Samsung Medical Center. The expertise, the efficiency, the effectiveness, we really want to tap into that in order to make our company's clinical trials much more efficient and effective than they currently are. So those are just three of a multiplicity of value creation vectors for us.
So cutting edge clinical trials, incredible infrastructure for diagnostics and testing, and a ringside seat for some of the most interesting new modalities being invented in biotech. It sounds like a win-win partnership. Thank you for joining us in the studio for kicking off our program here at JPM 2024.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jae-Woo.
Thank you.